This program is for educational purposes only. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences, and the individual results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have a founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health. Dr. Joel Lawley. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Daily Doc and Becca. I am your host, Becca Dukes, a certified naturopathic practitioner, a certified holistic health coach, and your partner in this journey to vibrant health. And you know what day it is? It's famous day, our favorite days of the week. And today we're joined by the one and only pharmacist Ben Fuchs, the guy who makes science not only make sense, but actually exciting. So folks, if you were invited by somebody specific to watch this show, make sure that you get back with them and thank them for sharing this empowering information with you, that not only is it information you can listen to, but it's actually information that you can apply in your life or in the lives of those that you love to help them create this fantastic, vibrant journey we all thrive for in life. Now, the question, our topic, should I do? Folks, this program is not meant to take the place of your primary care physician, nor is it meant to treat, diagnose, or cure any disease. This program is for informational uses only, and you're in the right place if you have ever experienced itchy scalp, mysterious rash, or hey, that stuff you get like nasty toenails, fungus. Is there a connection? Well, today we're going to be diving into that question and many more with the one and only pharmacist Ben Fuchs. So if you've ever battled it, you're in the right place, folks, as we're going to be peeling back the layers literally and uncovering what's really going on under the skin and how to address it from the inside out, outside in. Pharmacist Ben is going to let us know. So Pharmacist Ben Fuchs, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I never want to forget that it's an honor to be here and to be asked to be here and have people actually listen to me when I talk. I don't take that for granted. That's really cool. And thank you. And then what did you mean by for information purposes only, as opposed to what?
Well, as opposed to, nonsense.
No, that's not what that means. What does it mean for information purposes only? What other purposes could there be?
Well,
Nonsense
so
purposes?
it's actually for educational purposes, not information purposes.
Okay.
But
what other purposes are there?
Just to kill time. No.
We're only here to kill time. No, I know, but when you say this is meant for educational purposes only, that implies that it's not for something else. What is that something else?
Well, they say, because I have to also say, this is not meant to diagnose, treat, cure any disease, not meant to take the place of your primary care physician.
Okay, so hang on. Diagnose, say that again slowly. Diagnose, treat, or cure?
Diagnose, treat, or cure.
Okay, good. That's good. That's what I wanted to know. So clearly, diagnose, our position on my position, I'm assuming it's your position if you agree with me, is diagnoses are irrelevant. And that's so important because, you said that I make things simple, and that's kind of what I'm known for, is making things simple. Diagnosis just complicates things. We have 50,000 different medical diagnoses, I was talking to AJ about this on Monday. There's tens of thousands of different codes for diseases and disorders and injuries, and there's officially 7,000 different diseases, recognized diseases, and 55,000 different medical conditions. These are all gibberish because the body breaks down in this generic fashion. And it's always the same thing. The most proximal point to how the body breaks down, the closest point to how the body breaks down, is called inflammation. Everything's inflammatory. Inflammation is a protective response. So all so-called diseases, they're called diseases for a reason, are signs that the body is in a protection mode. It's trying to protect itself from something. That's as simple as that. And once we figure out what it's trying to protect itself from, and we eliminate that and support its ability to protect itself, that's it. That's all you need to know. So it really is that simple. And if you want to make it even simpler, good stuff in, bad stuff out. That's the whole thing. And when you understand it from that kind of perspective, you can see why A, our medical deities are irrelevant for most of our health challenges, and B, why they can't do anything about most health challenges. Because if it's just stuff, the wrong stuff getting in and the right stuff not, what's that got to do with a medical intervention? Medical intervention, the word medical, by the way, med comes from middle, is when you have a middleman between you and the healing process. That's what medicine is. It's a middleman. Just like the old priests. They were the middleman between the individual and God. Now we have a medical middleman, middle between us and our healing. What we're trying to do is we're taking the middleman out. Get rid of the middleman. Heal yourself. Be your own authority. Say, oh no, I can't do that. I didn't go to medical school. I don't have a degree. I'm not that smart. The point is you don't have to be that smart. It's the wrong stuff in and the right stuff, the wrong stuff getting in, the right stuff isn't. It's as simple as that. Inflammation means the body's protecting itself from something. It protects itself from the enemy, obviously. And you got to build up the army. You got to strengthen the army. You got to strengthen the body's ability to do what it needs to do. Simple as that. So yes, it's very, very simple. The question then becomes is how does the wrong stuff get into the body? Well, IV aside, and that's one way, clearly. That's why you got to be careful about injection. It's going to be food. And it's not going to be food because we're foodies. You know, there's this whole kind of food culture, eat right for your type and organic and gluten-free. That's not why we're saying this. We're saying that food is important because that's how things get into the body, i.e. the blood. All disease is cell disease. All cell disease is preceded by dirty blood. Dirty blood leads to inflammation. In fact, dirty blood itself is inflammatory. So it really is that simple. And I'm happy to answer questions, but I always feel kind of stupid because I say the same thing over and over and over again, you know? And it's not like I'm a one-trick pony. It's just like that's how it happens. That's how the body works. And it's not like I'm simplifying things to make it simple and palatable for people to understand. I'm simplifying it because it is simple. It is simple. It is simple. We have to get that. There's like a mental block to us thinking it's not simple. And it's
You know why?
No, tell me.
How many different pharmaceuticals are on the market, Pharmacist Ben?
How many of them work? Or I should say, how many of them cure
That's-
disease? How many of them change the disease, the progress of disease?
That's beside the point.
There's
When
thousands,
somebody,
tens of
there's
thousands,
thousands.
thousands
And when
upon
somebody
thousands.
starts getting on a pharmaceutical, then it's compounding those pharmaceuticals.
Compounding the problem. Compounding.
So I
Yeah.
think
That's why you take drugs for side
people,
effects. That's why they give you drugs for side
yeah,
effects. And there are
that's
people
why
who
people
are on
don't believe it's so simple.
it. Would. All right. Well, you know, my job is to, and maybe I'll always have a job then. I shouldn't, you know, I shouldn't be necessary, but maybe I'll always have a job. All right. So back to.
You have purpose. We all need a purpose.
And that is a
You're
very
serving
important
a
point.
great purpose right now.
Yeah. And I'm glad I have a purpose. And lack of purpose is behind a lot of psychological, mental, emotional, and ultimately physical health challenges. Yes, I have a purpose. I found my purpose in life, and I'm glad I found it. And you know what? Our purpose in life can be as simple as helping other people, and there are lots of people that need help. So really, if you make your purpose helping other people, you'll always have a purpose. You'll never run out of purpose because there's always going to be people that you need to help. And that's really important because for two reasons for longevity folks. Number one, because longevity gives us a purpose. Longevity gives you, what I always found about longevity, aside from the fact that you can make some money, you can have a business, is it gives you a platform to make your case for whatever that case is, whether it's your case for good health, whether it's your case for good wealth, whether it's a case for scrapbooking. You know, they have the scrapbook company, and right, I don't know if they still have that, but the side businesses, right? So you can make your case for whatever it is your passion is and what your love is. And I always tell new distributors, find something you love in health, ideally. Alzheimer's, diabetes, autoimmunity, multiple sclerosis, dementias, whatever it is, find something that relates to you, that maybe your dad had dementia, or maybe your mom had cancer, or maybe your kid brother has some kind of health challenge. Whatever it is, find something that's personal to you, become an expert in it, and make a difference in people's lives. And that brings us to the second point. Point number one is longevity gives us a platform. It gives us an opportunity. But the second point is when it comes to longevity and our business is we want to change the metric for success. We have a metric for success in dollars, and that's understandable because we live in a capitalist society, and capital is very important. You can't really pay your rent and eat and buy food without capital. So capital is clearly important. But if we change our metric to how many people we're helping, we'll see that even if we're not making money with our business, we're still successful. And so what I would suggest is, if you feel like you're not successful in your business, maybe the metric isn't right, because it's it might be hard to figure out how to make money. It's not hard to figure out how to help people. And it may be that in your business, I'm speaking to people who are distributors and feel less than successful, it may be that you're feeling less than successful because you made the metric money instead of making the metric helping people. And you say, well, but I need money, I need to pay the rent. Yes, I understand that, but the money will come once you help enough people. And so to me, should be the goal. That should be the first part of the way you measure the success of your business, is how many people you've helped. Yes, I know you need money, but that will follow. When you help enough people, they're going to want to be next to you. They're not going to want to leave you. They're going to want to buy what you're selling. And that really should be the metric, not just for longevity business, but for all businesses. How many lives have we changed with our business? Even if it's something as being a house cleaner, whatever your business is, being a landscaper. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. You don't need a fancy a degree or higher education. Just find a business that is helping people, making a difference. The money will follow. Let's make the metric how many people we're helping. And I guarantee you there's people out there who feel like they're not successful in their business, but if they change the metric into how many people they've helped, they'll see that indeed they are successful. Just keep plugging away. That's the goal, is how many people can we help, and then have faith and have confidence that when you help enough people, truly help enough people, and that's what we can help you do. That's what I can help you do. I'm not that great with network marketing, but I can help you help other people in terms of their health, and get on these calls. I do one every Friday. I do one every Monday night with AJ. Becca, you do them all during the week. There's plenty of ways. There's plenty of opportunities you have to learn how to help people. The money will follow. Have faith that the money will come after you help enough people. The goal here, in my opinion, the metric here should be how many people have we helped. And by the way, when you have really helped somebody who has cancer, or who has MS, or who has dementia, or who has a movement disorder, or has autoimmunity, you really help them, and they tell you, oh my God, I can't believe you've helped me so much. You've changed my life. How good does that feel? The joy that you get,
Amazing.
it's amazing. You can't quantify that. The feeling you get, and those of us who have gotten that kind of response from folks, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. There's no money that is worth, that can measure up to that kind of joy and satisfaction that you get. Because ultimately, I believe we're all here to make a difference in each other's lives, to help each other. And that's really what being at ease, or the opposite of dis-ease, is all about, is this idea of connecting, and this whole notion that we have an opportunity to connect with everybody, and we do on this call every Friday. To me, it's the most beautiful aspect of being part of the longevity business, and I've been part of it now for 27 years, and I'm going to die being part of longevity, just because of the joy that it brings me to be able to help other people, and we can all do the same thing. Everybody listening can do the same thing. So that being said, let's rock and roll. Let's take some questions here. We're already down to 45 minutes. So let's see if we can get some questions.
47.
47 minutes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for that clarification.
Our timekeeper. So, Pharmacist Ben, I think you're absolutely right. You know, the joy and the purpose comes, you get so much, you're so blessed. I mean, even Harry out on YouTube says, blessings, Ben, and all blessings. As we give of ourselves, those blessings, not just for us, but for those that in the lives that we touch.
Yes.
And one thing that I love about you, Ben, is you don't try to convince people.
Never, never, never want to convince anybody. I always say before I do a call, I say, I'm not here to convince this person or to persuade this person. Just here to explain how the whole thing works. And that's the only thing you love about me? What are you talking about?
Oh no, there's lots of things that I love about you,
Okay,
Ben.
all right. I just want to be clear.
But that's one thing, because when people think network marketing's, oh, it's always trying to convince somebody to buy something.
Right,
No.
right. You know, we have this culture where we're always pitted against things. We have this adversarial culture where you have government and citizen, police and criminal, or police and citizen, or employer employee, or seller and customer. You know, we have all of these adversarial relationships. Ideally, the best way to do sales is to stand next to somebody, not stand across from them. And that's really what we want to be doing here. We're not across from the people we're helping. We're walking with them. You know, you ever hear that it's a postcard, and it's like a famous quote where the guy says, where somebody says, God, where were you where were you? And all this stuff was happening. And you know the one I'm talking about?
Well, yeah, then he sent the
It's called
boat.
footprints. It's called footprints. There was only one.
The footprints, and there's only
footprint.
one
And
set.
there's only one
That's
set of footprints. Where were you? And he
that's
said,
a
that's
good
when I
one
was
too.
carrying you. Yes, we're
Yeah.
together. We're helping everybody. It's the most beautiful thing. Thank you, Dr. Wallach, and thank you, Longevity, for putting this whole giving us all this opportunity to make a difference in the lives of our friends and our families and our neighbors and complete strangers. So anyway, I don't want to belabor that point, but it really is important to me that we get the idea across that we're all in this together. It's not complicated. There are multiple dimensions to health and wellness. And with Longevity, we get the opportunity to help people on all those levels: spiritual, mental, emotional, as well as physical. So without further ado, let's rock and roll.
And with what he just said, folks, if somebody referred you to this program, they're the person that's walking through this with you. As Pharmacist Ben is lending the education, the wisdom, the guidance in how the systems work, your coach or the individual that referred you to this program is there to help get you on the right track and help give that accountability of somebody that is walking with you. So if you have questions, make sure that you get back with them, as they are your primary point of contact. If you're watching this program and you do not have a coach, you were not referred by anybody, but you would like to be connected with a certified holistic health coach, give our team a call at 855-949-3377. Again, that's 855-949-3377. So, Pharmacist Ben, let's go over to Phyllis, who is going to bring in the first question.
Yes.
Second question of the day. Oh, wait a minute. Your hand wasn't up, AJ. What are you complaining about?
Well, I guess Phyllis is just ladies first.
I'll take it.
Thank you.
Ben, do you remember last week, Mike had a question about his 17-year-old daughter, that she had the rash, she had mono, and she was taking some
Yes,
drug.
I do remember.
Well, we have Mike with us, and he said that and she was on antibiotics, and then she had this body rash that persists.
Okay.
And you talked about a jumpy immune system. He says the medication she was on is Accutane, also known as isotretinoin.
Accutane is not an antibiotic. Is that the antibiotic he's referring to?
Well, he is on with us today. So shall we get him on, Becca?
Absolutely.
It's Mike.
Mike, let's look for Mike. And Mike, can you unmute yourself? Mike, can you unmute yourself, please?
He says she took the Accutane to get rid of acne, then got sick often, a weak immune system, got mono, then this rash that persists.
Okay, so but was there an antibiotic? Or is that a misunderstanding?
Let's
So
see.
antibiotics can cause rashes. That's the reason I ask.
Mike,
Accutane, is Mike
can
there?
you oh, he says his speaker is not working. Can
Okay.
you message us whether she was on an antibiotic?
It doesn't really matter. That's neither here nor there. Let me talk.
Yes.
We'll wait for she was on an antibiotic. So
Yes.
antibiotics can cause rashes. That's not unusual for an antibiotic to cause rashes. Post mono, it's not unusual to get a rash either. So rashes can happen post mono. They can happen from antibiotics. They could be allergic reactions to Accutane. He said something very interesting. He said while this gal was on Accutane, she started to get infections.
Mm-hmm.
I think, right? So
Yes.
Accutane is a very interesting drug. Vitamin A is arguably the most important of the vitamins. There's others that are important too, but the reason I say it arguably is the most important is because it's not really a vitamin, it's a hormone. And it is involved in how, in multiple functions in the body, especially multiple places, particularly the skin, because skin cells are dividing very rapidly, and because vitamin A plays such an important role in how cells mature. There's a role for vitamin A in acne, and vitamin A is actually a treatment for acne, a nutritional treatment for acne. And vitamin A deficiencies can cause acne and acne-like lesions, including something called keratosis piloris, also known as chicken skin, where the skin becomes bumpy and it almost has a kind of chicken skin-like appearance. So many eczema can be caused by deficiencies in vitamin A. Many skin diseases can be caused by deficiencies in vitamin A, including just plain old dry skin and accelerated aging. Can be caused by deficiencies in vitamin A. Vitamin A also plays a role in the immune system. So Accutane is poison vitamin A. It has a shape that's almost exactly like vitamin A, which is known as tretinoin, by the way, but it's just a little bit off. In chemistry, when something is almost exactly the same, when one molecule is almost exactly the same as another, but just a little bit off, we call it an isomer. Or we say it's an isoform. Iso means just kind of similar to, but not exact. So tretinoin is vitamin A. Accutane is isotretinoin. So it's vitamin A with a little tweak. So it's kind of sort of like vitamin A, but it's not vitamin A. I call it poison vitamin A. Why? Because when you take Accutane, it goes into your blood, it goes to the cells, and it pretends it's vitamin A because it looks kind of like vitamin A. So the cell says, come on in. And then when it comes time to integrate that vitamin A into the chemistry of the cell, it says, ha ha, I fooled you. I am poison vitamin A. I'm not really vitamin A at all. And that mucks up all the vitamin A machinery inside the cell. Say, what the heck? Why would a doctor, why would the drug company, why would a patient want to muck up the vitamin A machinery inside a cell? Well, it turns out that acne can be caused by excessive secretions of sebum skin oil. Vitamin A, in addition to being a major player in how cells grow and divide, is also a major player in secretions. So by poisoning the vitamin A machinery inside a cell with this little trick of pretending it's vitamin A, like acting like it's vitamin A, but then ripping off its mask once it gets into the machinery and say, I tricked you, it stops the production of secretions or stops secretions from the cell. Say, what the heck? Why would I want to stop secretions? Well, the thinking is if you stop sebum, skin oil, skin fat, if you will, from being secreted out of the cells that make skin fats, the skin will be dry and you won't get a pimple. Pimples require skin fats. Breakouts, acne lesions require disturbances in skin fats, and by blocking off the secretions, you don't get any more acne. And it does work, but the problem is you had Vitamin A is important for lots of other things, not just secretions. And you now poison the vitamin A machinery for the immune system. You've now poisoned the vitamin A system for the growth system. And most importantly, you've poisoned the vitamin A system for secretions, which is why people who take Accutane get incredibly dry. They can't make tears. They can't make secretions in their throat. Their skin cracks. They don't make digestive juices. All the secretions stop. And because vitamin A is involved in growth, they tell you don't take Accutane when you're pregnant, because when you're pregnant or when you're making a baby, there's lots of growth happening. And because vitamin A is important for the immune system, when you're on Accutane, you're going to be more susceptible to immune problems, to infections, which is what this person had. It is one of the dumbest medical strategies for dealing with acne, of all medical strategies, and certainly for dealing with acne, because acne is not caused by too much sebum. It's caused by what's causing too much sebum. It's another example of taking your hammer and knocking out the idiot light so you don't have to see it. The problem isn't the idiot light, i.e. the sebum. The problem is the metabolic condition that's causing the sebum. The problem isn't the blinking idiot light on your dashboard. It's the engine problem that's making the idiot light go off. This is this idiocy of medicine, is that it hits the idiot light. Now, you say, well, I don't care. I want to get my symptoms relieved. Fine. And by the way, Accutane can work. Not always, but it can work. And it's hard to say to somebody who has severe breakouts because he or she's eating the wrong food or they're nutritionally deficient. These are the reasons why people get acne, by the way. Wrong food, nutritionally deficient, digestive issues, all the same things that happen for any other health challenge. But it's hard to say to somebody who doesn't want to change their diet and nutritionally supplement and change their life not to take Accutane if it makes their acne go away. But there's a price to be paid. In this case, this gal has a suppressed immune system, and now she's dealing with mono, and now she's dealing with the extra symptoms associated with the mono, i.e. the rashes. It's kind of like that book, The Cat in the Hat Comes Back. You remember The Cat in the Hat Comes Back, Phyllis?
Sure do.
Little cat A and little cat B and little cat C, and they get the spot, and then little cat A gets rid of the spot, and little cat B has a bigger spot in the bathtub, and they get rid of the spot in the bathtub, and now there's a spot in the house, and then there's a bigger spot on the snow. I don't remember the book, but you get the point. It's one thing leads to something worse, leads to another thing that's worse, and another thing that's worse. And this is the idiocy of medicine. Now, in fairness, they're not there to make you better. That's not the job of the doctor, to make you better. The job of the doctor is to keep you alive, as we've said so many times. And they do a good job at it. They keep you alive, but they're not there to get you healthy. So, as far as this gal goes, you can do Accutane. I'm not sure, it doesn't always work, but maybe it worked for this gal, maybe it didn't. A much better strategy is give yourself real vitamin A instead of, and by the way, when you're on Accutane, they tell you don't take vitamin A. That's one of the instructions. When you're on Accutane, make sure you don't take vitamin A. Why? Because your cells are not stupid. If there's vitamin A present, they're not going to take the poison vitamin A. They're going to take the real vitamin A. But because the medical folks don't recognize how important vitamin A is for acne and for the skin, they don't think it makes a difference. So I say, instead of the poison vitamin A, take vitamin A, as well as vitamin D, as well as vitamin E, as well as zinc, as well as selenium, as well as reduce your intake of insulin spiking foods, of high glycemic index foods that release sugar into the blood very fast. All of these are the real causes of acne, as well as digestive health issues, leaky gut, and toxicity into the bloodstream. As far as mono goes, build the immune system. And again, these are all the same strategies: vitamin A and zinc and selenium. If you want to use longevity products, use the De-Stress and the Healthy Start Pack and the Ultimate Selenium. There's a ton of Fucoid Z. There's a ton of immune boosting supplements. As far as the rash goes, I'm going to assume the rash is because of the immune burden from the mono. It could have been from the Accutane. It could have been from the antibiotic. There's no way to know. If you strengthen the immune system, the rash should go away. If it doesn't go away, then you may be dealing with some kind of allergic reaction to the antibiotic, and I'd have to have some more details from Mike to assess that. So 3 things going on. Accutane for acne. Personally, if it was me, I'd be replacing it with the real anti-acne strategies, which are nutritional supplementation and then working on digestive health and blood sugar health. The same points of the 2 points of metabolic disease, or the plane of disease, as we're now calling it. We have to come up with a better name for that. And then also, as far as the infection, as far as the rash goes, strengthen the immune system. I assume this patient is already, her mono is already relieved. If not, then you want to do all the immune boosting nutrients, and do not underestimate the importance of the most powerful of all the immune vitamins, which is vitamin C, and that's our CFX. But zinc is also, the zinc FX is also very important for the immune system, as is the ultimate selenium. Is also important for the immune system. The B complex, beyond tangy tangerine's got all your basic immune nutrients, but I would throw in the ultimate selenium, the CFX, and the zinc FX.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Ben.
Okay, and then ask this gentleman if the rash has gone away or if the rash is still there. You don't have to, just send him a note or something. All right.
He
What's
said
next?
she's done with the Accutane. It worked.
Yeah, it did work.
And
Now the time. Now get him. Find out if the gal got dry from the Accutane, dry respiratory tract, dry eyes, that kind of thing.
he says no.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Yeah, Accutane does work, and it's hard to say to somebody when it works not to use it. So I always tell people if they're going to be on Accutane, as soon as you're done with it, that's the time to start using nutritional supplementation, particularly fatty vitamins, particularly vitamin A.
And she is taking double doses of Beyond Tangy, but you have listed the other products
All those other ones
that are
yes.
important.
Yes.
EFAs,
Healthy Star
zinc,
Pack,
vitamin C.
Zinc FX, CFX, Ultimate Selenium, Fucoid Z. There's probably other ones I'm missing. And if there's any digestive health, do all the digestive.
Yes, enzymes and probiotics also.
She's on that?
I'm saying you would probably recommend that.
Yes, I would. All the digestive stuff.
All right. Thank you so much, Ben.
All right. Thank you, Phyllis. AJ, the man with most questions of all. Take it away.
Well, we're bringing in questions for a lot of people, but Ben, you talked about a couple of things just now. So since you're already talking about it, and you mentioned it briefly, I'm just going to read you a couple of titles from popular videos that are on. And when I say popular videos, I mean with 200,000 views or more.
Okay, it's a lot more than my videos.
And thousands, definitely not my videos, and thousands of comments. I'm gonna fast read the title.
Okay.
Vitamin D is a rat poison.
Vitamin D is a rat poison.
Vitamin A is not a vitamin.
Vitamin A is not
about how beta carotene is actually a poison.
Well, those are kind of crazy. I got to hear that. I can't
Vitamin A, retinol, Accutane, a carcinogenic liver damaging poison.
Well, hang on. These are clickbait things. These are headlines, right? Because none of that is really accurate.
I know it's not accurate.
So let's take the first one. Sometimes they'll give you a clickbait and then they'll explain what they meant.
These people are.
Are these comments or these
These are influencers.
All right, so let's go.
Telling us.
Let's go with the first one. Give me the first one. Vitamin D is rat poison.
Vitamin D is rat poison.
I don't know how I can address that. It's a vitamin. Why would it be rat poison?
It's in large doses. That's what
vitamin D is a tricky vitamin. There's no doubt about it, and that leads you to the second one, which is that vitamin A is not a vitamin. Okay, that's kind of what
you said that earlier.
I said that. So vitamin A and D are not vitamins per se. They are hormones, which means they work in a completely different fashion. A vitamin helps. A hormone activates. Hormones make, the word hormone means hormeo, I arouse to activity. It actually makes things happen. Vitamins assist in chemistry. And that's why when you don't have a certain vitamin, chemistry won't happen. But hormones are much, 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 much more fundamental than a vitamin. We call vitamin A and D vitamins because they're very unusual hormones in the sense that your body makes hormones, but these two hormones it doesn't make. Vitamin A and D are hormones that the body doesn't make but needs. So they're vitamins in the sense that you have to have them in your diet. They're essential, without which you would die or have a disease. but they're not vitamins in the sense that they're not helpers. They're actually activators. And that makes them much, much, much more powerful than an ordinary vitamin. That's first of all. So for the person who said vitamin A is not a vitamin, that's right, it's a hormone. And that is kind of clickbaity in a way, because it is really, it's kind of both, I guess. But the first thing is a little bit more troubling, and that is vitamin D is rapid poison. I don't understand how they came up with that. But the fact is, where this person, whoever wrote this, is a little bit correct, is you can't just take vitamin D. The body handles vitamin D like it handles all hormones, and that's why sometimes you'll hear, by the way, that you don't want to take too much vitamin A. You may have heard this. Don't take too much vitamin A because vitamin A is a hormone. And if you take too much vitamin A, you can suffer from something called hypervitaminosis A, which is vitamin A toxicity, essentially. Now, it's not toxic in the sense that it'll kill you, but it's toxic in the sense that it can burden the liver. And some people, if they take, and you have to take ridiculous amounts, by the way. The average amount, the recommended daily allowance of vitamin A is like 1,000. You need probably about 10,000 accurately, even 20,000. But if you take 200,000 IU a day, you may get into hypervitaminosis A after a couple months. So you have to be ridiculous. You have to take ridiculous amounts of it, but theoretically can happen. However, when you stop taking it, you get healthy again. It's not like you permanently damage yourself. So yes, it can be a problem if you take too much. You got to really, really, really go crazy. But if you did, theoretically, you could suffer from jaundice, some liver toxicity from taking too much. But you have to really go out of your way to do that. And it will reverse itself once you stop doing it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
On Monday, I think maybe I'll gather all my mini vids and I'll have you debunk them one by one.
Okay, yeah, and I need a little bit more detail. But vitamin D is kind of interesting, and I'll tell you why. Vitamin D is a really, really powerful substance. Its main role in life is to help the body and cells utilize calcium. And while calcium, most of us, when we think of calcium, what do you think of when you think of calcium? AJ? One thing, just one thing. When you think of calcium. What? Rocks, right? Right. But in the body, what would you say?
Bones.
Bones, right? And sometimes people say teeth, and that's true. But that's just one of calcium's roles. In fact, calcium's main role is to make things happen. It activates chemistry in cells. And you can't just have chemistry in cells just happening. There has to be control. You can't just flood the body with certain chemicals or cells with certain chemicals and just have everything happen. There's control. Everything in the body is controlled, regulated. The activation has to happen just so. And so the body has mechanisms for channeling the calcium, channeling the vitamin D, making sure everything happens at just the right rate. In terms of calcium just doesn't go into cells. Calcium requires vitamin D. That's vitamin D's role, is to control the amount of calcium that gets into the blood and gets into cells through the digestive system and through the cell membrane. So vitamin D's main role is to help support calcium metabolism so that cells can do their business. The reason why vitamin D is so important, has so many different roles to play, is because calcium is like a universal activator. It activates the digestive system, it activates the heart, it activates the vasculature, it activates brain cells, it activates immune cells, it activates skin cells, and on and on and on. So vitamin D, by virtue of its ability to support calcium activation, helps all the cells. That means vitamin D works everywhere, for everything. So the body can't have vitamin D just doing things willy-nilly. So what it does is it activates vitamin D. Vitamin D that you take orally or from foods or from supplements, the two main sources of vitamin D, except for the third, which I'll tell you about in a second, requires activation. So when I take a vitamin D supplement, or I eat a vitamin D fortified food, or vitamin D, a food that contains vitamin D like mushrooms or organ meats, that vitamin D is not ready to work. It has to be activated in the liver and in the kidney. And then it becomes work. This is a way the body has of protecting itself from too much vitamin D activity. Does this make sense?
Yes, sir.
If you just took vitamin D and all of a sudden calcium went crazy and calcium entered the cells, you could kill yourself with vitamin D. But the body doesn't want that to happen. So it regulates the calcium, first of all, by vitamin D, and it regulates the vitamin D by activation in the liver and the kidney. So right away, you can see a problem. If you have kidney disease, you're not going to activate your vitamin D as effectively to the extent you have kidney disease. And if you have liver disease, to the extent you have liver disease, you're not going to activate your vitamin D. So there's a lot of people out there taking vitamin D supplements and they're not getting the benefits because they have fatty liver or liver disease or kidney disease. So taking vitamin D by itself is, you're protected against overdose, but you also have to make sure that you're activating in order to get the benefits. This is why solar vitamin D is the preferred form of vitamin D. Because vitamin D, solar vitamin D, can be activated in the skin. And the body has a way of controlling solar vitamin D that it doesn't have for vitamin D that is taken orally or through foods or supplements. So solar vitamin D is always the best form of vitamin D. And the reason I say that so firmly is because that's not what doctors will tell you. They'll say, don't worry about it. Just stay out of the sun because it gets skin cancer, you get aging, blah, blah, blah. Dermatologists especially are notorious for saying this. What they're missing is that's a superior form of vitamin D than oral vitamin D or food vitamin D. And if you have kidney disease or liver disease, you're going to be especially prone to vitamin D issues because you're not going to be activating the vitamin D as effectively. So yes, vitamin D can be a problem. Luckily, the body has fail-safe mechanisms for preventing overdose, but those fail-safe mechanisms can work against you if you have issues with the liver or the kidney. Solar vitamin D is the best because it can be activated in the skin and the body can control the amount of vitamin D that gets into the blood by either activating or not activating. Okay, so now, what was the third thing you said? I hope that clarifies vitamin D and vitamin A. That was the
Well,
third.
you know what? We're going to just move on the vitamins, and thank you. And we're going to go in depth more on Monday.
Okay.
We have some questions that need to be addressed.
Okay.
So kind of the title of our show, last November, I had caught a real bad something. I had real bad cough, and after that, I developed an itchy rash behind my knees and dandruff on my head. Would not go away since. Doctor says it was caused from a fungal infection, and I found some mold growing on the lid of my water bottle I used to drink from. I've been taking.
There may be some fungus involved in eczema and dry skin and dandruff, all of which are kind of similar, but they're not literally caused by fungus.
Here's where the rubber meets the road. I've been taking 90 for Life for years and off the bad foods. Recently, I went on an elimination diet, which helped. And once I introduced white rice and potatoes, it seems to get worse.
Well, then this person answered their own question. Once again, the main cause of health challenges are bad stuff getting in and good stuff not. White rice and potatoes can certainly be a problem. There are fungus that live on the skin. Fungus is part of our biome, our microbiome. And so are viruses for that matter, so are parasites for that matter. So these are all things that live in us. We have this menagerie in our bodies of bacteria and fungus and viruses and parasites and all kinds of various life forms that live in our skin and our body. When you have eczema or dandruff, they're very similar, or dry skin for that matter, scaly skin. What you're talking about is skin cells that are not dividing appropriately. I'll tell you why that happens in a second, but let me just explain how this whole phenomenon occurs. And it's really interesting because we don't really see this with our eyes, so you have to understand how the skin is constructed in order to understand how the pathology develops. So your skin is layered, stratified, baklava, lasagna, layer, 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 layer. And at the top, you have dead stuff. The living cells in the bottom of the skin are round and plump and juicy. And they arise from stem cells. It's like a nursery of stem cells in the bottom of your skin. Those stem cells get converted into skin cells. Technically, they call them keratinocytes because they make keratin. And these skin cells live in the bottom, the base layer of the skin. They call them keratinocytes, and you want to think of them like babies, round and plump and juicy, just like a newborn. And then those babies, those round and plump and juicy skin cells, start to journey upwards. And this journey upwards, that in the skin business we call transit, this journey upwards, or this transit, is very, very important and functional. As this skin cell, the round and plump and juicy skin cell, which was born from the stem cell, starts to rise up from the basal layer, it comes to the next layer, which is called the squamous layer. And then it starts to rise up through a few other layers until it comes to rest at the very top, which is called the barrier, or the stratum corneum, which means hard layer. So skin cells start their life round and plump and juicy, and they migrate upwards, and they go from round and plump and juicy to progressively flatter and deader and dead until they're at the very top. Very top, they're flat and they're dead. They start their life round and plump and juicy, and they end their lives flat and dead, just like people.
Just like us.
Just like people, round and plump and juicy, and then flat and dead at the end. Now, this flat and dead cell, at that point, it's called a corneocyte. Corneo means hard, and cyte means cell. It goes from a keratinocyte to a corneocyte, is basically just a bag of hard protein called keratin. Keratin's like your fingernails, rhinoceros horns, horse hooves, fish scales, alligator scales, anywhere in nature, feathers, anywhere in nature where you have a hard tissue, that's typically going to be keratin. And so the stratum corneum barrier is a bunch of hard cells, corneocytes, filled with hard protein. And the way the system is designed is over time, these cells flop off and new cells arise and take their place. And this journey, this movement, this transit happens our whole lives. Cells flop off, they rise up, they flop off, they rise up, they flop off, they rise up, they flop off. And right now, in your room, wherever you're standing, AJ, where you're standing, there's dead AJ skin cells flying all over the room.
All over the place.
All over the place. In fact, your typical dust ball is made up of 40 or 50% dead skin cells. They're just flopping off, and new cells are rising to the top. And when they flop off, you don't really see them because cells are microscopic. You can't really see microscopic cells flopping off. This flopping off process is controlled by chemistry, by enzymes in the skin. And it's very important that cells flop off because this is how you assure a nice strong barrier. The old cells flop off and new cells rise up to the top, become a barrier, they flop off. Can you see, you understand what I'm saying here? You get this movement. This movement all requires appropriate chemistry, which of course requires nutrition. If you have nutritional deficiencies, this chemistry is not going to occur as it's supposed to. Also, if you have inflammation in the skin, this chemistry is not going to occur as it's supposed to. And what's going to happen is the cells are not going to flop off correctly. And you can actually see this on black or dark skin as ashiness. Have you heard that term, ashiness? Right?
Oh yeah, I've heard that term.
Okay, it's mostly white people don't say that because you don't see it. They have it too, but on black skin or dark skin, you really see it. And that ashiness is a sign that cells are not flopping off correctly. They're staying on the skin, and that has to do with deficiencies and with problems with chemistry, particularly enzymes in the skin that are causing the cells to flop off, which in turn are caused by deficiencies, nutritional deficiencies, and also conceivably by inflammation. Now, sometimes instead of the cells coming off one at a time, they'll build up and they'll come off in clumps. That's called dandruff. Dandruff is clumps of cells that are coming off as clumps rather than as individual cells. Right now, individual cells are coming off our skin. We don't even notice it. But when they clump up, because the chemistry is not occurring correctly because of inflammation or nutritional deficiencies, they don't go off one at a time. They go off a million at a time, which looks like a clump, which looks like a flake, a dandruff flake. So dandruff flakes are caused by cells that are not coming off appropriately. On the other hand, eczema is when cells are not growing appropriately and they're not forming this barrier. And that's why if you see eczema skin, you can almost see like pinkish stuff underneath. You don't see the hard surface because the cells are not dividing rapidly. The transit is not occurring appropriately, again, because of nutritional deficiencies and inflammation. Sometimes cells will pile up on the surface and form lesions or plaques. That's called psoriasis. And that's also caused by, again, inflammation and nutritional deficiencies. So all of these conditions, while there may be fungus that are there, because fungus live on the skin, are not caused by fungus. They're caused by poor chemistry, skin chemistry, which in turn is caused by nutritional deficiencies and toxicity, which is the same thing that causes everything. Nutritional deficiencies and toxicity. Wrong stuff getting in, wrong stuff is getting in, and the good stuff isn't. Bad stuff getting in, good stuff isn't.
Okay, so I don't have to worry about drinking from my fungal water bottle.
No, not drinking from fungal water. You know, it's not a great idea to drink moldy water, right?
What can people do? Not that you haven't told me before, but
well,
what
that's the
can
question.
people do
For
to
inflammation, right? For eczema, for psoriasis, for acne, eczema, psoriasis, dandruff, for all of these conditions, number one, first and foremost, you got to patch up the gut, leaky gut, always. This person actually knows this because they said, when I start to eat the wrong foods, that's when I get the problem. So you got to work on the diet. Bad foods are just the tip of the iceberg. There's all kinds of foods that aren't on the bad food list that could still be a problem. Legumes, by the way, are especially problematic for the skin. Beans and peas and nuts. For some skin, not for all skin, but for some skin. Dairy, eggs, the usual suspects. Then there's the leaky gut issue. If you have eczema and you have dandruff and you also have bloating and gas and you get reactions, digestive reactions from certain foods, then leaky gut is implicated, and start patching up the gut. I love Fucoid Z for patching up the gut, collagen peptides for patching up the gut. Interestingly, one of the most important nutrients for patching up a leaky gut is vitamin A, which is also going to help you with your skin. So making sure you're using enough vitamin A. By the way, beta carotene, I don't know, is not vitamin A. It's a precursor to vitamin A. I forgot you mentioned something about beta carotene in your videos. Beta carotene is not vitamin A. Vitamin A is an animal vitamin. What's that?
We're gonna set this straight on Monday.
Yeah, we'll set this straight on Monday. So vitamin A is helpful for leaky gut. So are your ultimate EFAs. They're also important for leaky gut. Dealing with SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, with your I-26, that can also help if you're dealing with a leaky gut. So you work with all the digestive health issues. Then there are the nutrients that are specific for the skin, and there's a lot of them. We talk about vitamin A, very important for dandruff, very important for acne, very important for psoriasis, very important for eczema. Vitamin A deficiencies are very common. If you're not absorbing vitamin A, remember it's a fatty vitamins. If you had a gallbladder issue or you have liver issues, you may not absorb your vitamin A. Vitamin A deficiencies are much more common than anybody realizes. You can also use topical vitamin A too, by the way, in the form of retinol, for mostly for acne, for psoriasis, also for eczema. I don't know about using it topically for dandruff, but I imagine it would probably be effective, although it's hard to get through your hair, is the problem with topically treating dandruff. Zinc is another very important mineral for helping cells grow just at the right pace. And for all these conditions, your zinc FX can be important, as well as zinc-containing foods, high-protein foods. Interestingly, Head & Shoulders is zinc shampoo. I don't know if you know that. So Head & Shoulders is actually zinc shampoo. And by the way, selenium can also help with this issue, and Selsun Blue is selenium shampoo.
I was just going to ask you what Selsun Blue was.
Right. So you can use internal selenium and internal zinc. Those can be helpful as well. Topical zinc, topical selenium can be helpful. A little harder on the hair or on the head because you have hair there, but theoretically those would work topically as well. And then your ultimate EFAs as anti-inflammatories. Remember, your essential fats are your molecules of inflammation. Fats in general are the molecules of inflammation. And if you're not processing your fats correctly, or you're ingesting the wrong kinds of fats, that will throw off inflammatory chemistry, and that can cause a problem. That's why omega-3s, which are anti-inflammatory and much harder to find in the diet, can be helpful. I like the Ultimate EFA, which has just the perfect balance of omega-6 to omega-3.
All right, Philip. Oh, sorry.
I think that there's tons more. One last thing I'll tell you about ashiness and also dandruff, for that matter, is exfoliation can help. The process of cells flopping off normally when you're healthy and all the chemistry is working right inside the skin, that's called desquamation. Desquame. Squame means means scale or cell in this case. To desquame is when cells flop off. That's called desquamation or desquamation. Artificial desquamation, the kind of desquamation we do at home in our bathrooms, is called exfoliation. Now, most people have heard that term, exfoliation. What you're doing when you exfoliate is you're supporting desquamation. You're doing the desquamation process, except you're doing it on your own, and because your skin's not doing it, you're actually supporting natural desquamation, and that can also improve ashiness as well as dandruff. So exfoliation to improve desquamation, which is apparently not occurring as well as it should, can always be helpful. In fact, exfoliation is always helpful. Everybody should be exfoliating on a regular basis, and there's lots of ways to do that. We can talk about that on Monday. But exfoliation is a very important health strategy for the skin. It can also support the lymph. And also, if you have issues with ashiness or dandruff, it can be helpful there too.
Thanks,
Also,
Pharmacist.
acne.
Thanks, Pharmacist Ben. Phyllis, before somebody tries to pull him into a meeting.
AJ, that should be your new title. Let's get things straight once and for all. All right, Ben, we have Shiji, who came in through YouTube. Just guessing on the name.
Okay.
Has a good friend, a woman 65, 5'1", 153 pounds. Her bronchial tubes have collapsed. She's considering stem cell injections.
Okay, hang on a second. I want you to, you can see a problem right away. You said she's 61.
65.
65. She's 5'1".
Right.
And 153 pounds. What do you see right there with just those three things?
She's heavy. She's heavy.
She's heavy, right? She's not heavy because she's playing football for the Broncos. She's heavy because she's got issues with obesity.
Right.
What does that tell you? What does that tell you? Metabolic syndrome right off the bat.
Dysglycemia.
Right off the bat.
Dysglycemia.
Dysglycemia, exactly. Right off the bat, you guys, all 45 people, or how many people on the call, right off the bat, you just heard 2 points. You just heard 2 things. 5'1", 153. Immediately, you got metabolic syndrome issues.
Yep.
Right off. That's all you need to know. I don't even hear anything else. Now, you can give me a list of symptoms. You could say she's got a collapsed lung. You said she's got respiratory issues. What else is going on?
There was a specific question about, by the way, they did a surgery to put mesh in the flap to keep it open. Shiji was wondering if the fucoidan would help activate the stem cells, and will that help?
Yeah, yes, fucoidan's great for everything, and yes, will probably help with stem cells, but she's got way bigger fish to fry.
Right.
Way bigger fish to fry. What does it say she has any other health challenges, or that's it?
That's it.
Well,
But we know she does, right?
She has to, and that's why I say you got to start working on the whole system. You can't just target the stem cells. You can't just target the lungs. See, the stem cells are not going to grow if the niche is not appropriate for stem cells to grow. The niche is where the stem cells are living in, the nest, if you will. If the niche that the stem cells are living in are nutritionally deficient or toxic, the stem cells aren't going to work. So you can't just stick stem cells into the system and expect to get benefits. You have to have the niche, the environment, the terrain that the stem cells are in have to be healthy. Yeah. So, you can't necessarily just say, oh, I'm going to do stem cells and get better, and I'll have the fucoid Z and that'll activate the stem cells. There's so many other things going on. I would be treating this person's metabolic syndrome, first of all, because she's probably got heart problems and blood pressure problems and liver problems and likely digestive problems and all kinds of other stuff, which means she's going to be toxic and malnourished, which means the stem cells aren't going to, she's not going to get the benefit of the stem cells. And while fucoid Z is not a bad idea, it's never a bad idea, it's just a good panacea, good for everything, she needs way more help than that.
And she needs to work from the basics up, right?
The whole thing, metabolic syndrome, and of course, usually metabolic syndrome is associated with digestive health issues.
Right.
And a collapsed lung, it can be a sign of connective tissue disorders or connective tissue issues, which is very common and also associated with glycation, sugaring, and metabolic syndrome.
Very good.
People have things, connective tissue diseases are at much higher risk for what they call pneumothorax or collapsed lung.
And I will let you go.
Let
Well,
me go.
since you were so expedient, Pharmacist Ben,
Yes.
we have another question. What are you from Robert? What are your thoughts on using hyperbaric oxygen therapy
Awesome. It's awesome.
as part of a C-word treatment? And also, what are the differences between using tangy tangerine in pill, liquid, and powder form?
All right. So first of all, HBOT, high bariatric oxygen therapy, I think they call it, or however you want to say it, is awesome for everybody. Make sure you're using your antioxidants afterwards, however. So get on your Beyond Tangy Tangerine when you're done with your oxygen therapy, because oxygen is, oxygen is very important for revving up the metabolism, but it can also cause excess oxidation, and that's why you want to make sure you're using your Beyond Tangy Tangerine. High ORAC value, BTT, is an antioxidant. That's first of all. And what was the second question you said? The second thing, AJ?
The second question was, what are the differences between using pill, powder?
Yes, liquids are always the best next to IV. Next to IV nutrition, liquids are the best. They go right to work. Remember, a lot of people have digestive issues. BTT is liquid. It goes right to work. Liquids are much easier for the body to handle. If you do the tablet, drink it with water, and you'll kind of duplicate the actions of a liquid in your stomach and in your intestine. If you don't do it with water, your body will have to pull out water from somewhere, but you're not going to get the same rapid absorption that you do with the liquid, with the powder into water or liquid. Plus, the powder gives you a little bit more flexibility. You can do more, you can do less. With the tablet, you don't have that kind of flexibility. So I'm a big fan of the powder. The tablets are convenient. Some people don't like the taste of the BTT, so the tablets help there, but nothing beats the liquid. And I've talked about this before, but I'll say it again. When you spin the liquid in a vortex, in a blender, you electrify it. You don't get that benefit with the pills, the tablets. Good?
Okay. No, thank you so much for that, Pharmacist Ben. We're at the top of the hour. We're after the top of the hour.
Okay.
And I know that you're a busy man.
I'm a busy man.
So-
Got to motivate. Thank you, AJ and Phyllis and Marilyn and
Yes, let's get the whole team up
Rebecca.
here.
I always forget to thank everybody, but I thank all you guys, and I hope everybody who's listening appreciates all of you, because you do a lot to get this thing going. You won't believe, before we go on, everybody listening, it's like NASA ready, the space shuttle ready to take off with, the way these guys operate. So thank you guys for doing it. I appreciate it, and I'm sure everybody else does as well.
Okay, Ben,
Well,
we'll see you Monday at 10 p.m.
Monday at 10 p.m. and I'm going to go, so I'll let you say goodbye. Bye, everybody.
All right. Goodbye, Pharmacist Ben. Let's give him just a round of applause.
Thank you.
Just as showing appreciation
Thank you
for all that he does and the time that he dedicates to helping others gain clarity on the way the systems of the body work and what we can do. Thanks, Mike, for that clap. That's awesome. To help ourselves. So Barbara asks, how long do you need to spin nutrients in a vortex? Barbara, 15 to 30 seconds is all you need. Just make sure everything gets spun and you're good to go. So let's just do a special thank you to everyone who has joined us here live in the Zoom room. I hope each and every one of you have emailed us at zoom@dailywithdoc.com so that you can get on the list, as we are going to be implementing a special Zoom invitation in order to make sure that we have people that really want to be here, not wanting to cause trouble. So thank you, each and every one of you, for being on your best behavior. We love that. And for those of you who are out on all the different platforms, if you'd like to join us live sometime, we are Wednesday, Thursday, Friday from 12 to 1 p.m. Pacific, 1 to 2 Mountain, 2 to 3 Central, 3 to 4 Eastern. And Zoom at dailywithdoc.com. Send us an email and we'll get your invitation out to you as well. Just a thank you, Albert, joining us from South Africa, helping to let people in. We have Marilyn, super busy in putting the dictation of what is being spoken into the chat, which the chat is only available if you are here live with us. That transcript is not shared anywhere. So thank you, Marilyn, for doing that. We also have Phyllis. She's out on the different platforms looking for questions, bringing them in, and also adding some information in onto the chat as well here in the Zoom room and out in the different platforms. So thank you, Phyllis, for all you do. And because of AJ, it's all his fault that we are able to meet people where they're at, whether it's on video or audio, all the different platforms that we are streaming to and then posting to. It's amazing the technology he has found and the system that he has going so that we can actually be meeting people where they're at, where they can hear the message. And folks, don't forget, you are an important part. You heard this message for a purpose. And I know as you were listening, you thought of somebody. Share this program with them. We want to make sure that people understand that we're not chemical deficient, that we're, in most cases, nutrient deficient or mindset deficient. And when we get these things worked out the way they're supposed to be, our health in so many different ways, whether it's physical, mental, financial, can go in such a more positive direction. So everybody, thank you again for joining us here on Daily with Doc. AJ, I see your hand. What did I forget?
You didn't forget a thing. So there's only about 20 people who have said that they want access to the Zoom, and there's 50 people in the Zoom right now. So, some have left already, but, if you want access to the Zoom, you got to email zoom@dailywithdoc.com in order to do so. Zoom@dailywithdoc.com in order to be a part of the Zoom room going forward. And the folks who requested the information for Dr. Conaway's protocol and the private group, all of that stuff will be forthcoming. So stay tuned.
Hold tight. Stay tuned. Yes. All right, everybody. As we here in the Daily with Doc, what do we call it? What would with NASA, they were all in their little computer room, making sure everything is going the way it's supposed to be.
Becca's Command Center.
The Becca Command Center. Here in Becca Command Center, it is time to say, until next time. We look forward to seeing you here on Daily with Doc. Don't forget to chat, make a comment, let us know where you're joining us from, subscribe to our channel, and share it with someone you love. Till next time, bye for now.
This program is for educational purposes only. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have a founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health. Dr. Joel Wallach. This program is for educational purposes only. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have a founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health. Dr. Joel Wallach. This program is for educational purposes only. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have a founding father of the science of